Hello, everybody. It's Dana Sullivan, the Stampin' Chick, here for another Think Tank Thursday. How are you today, my friends? I hope you're having a fabulous day today. The weather is still warm, but not awful. It's getting better. The Burr months are almost here, and I cannot wait. I'm so excited. We have just a couple of weeks left before we officially get into the Burr months. And so, of course, I'm talking about September, October, November, and December. As you can imagine, you've heard me talk before about how bloody hot it is. I love the sunshine. I love nice, beautiful weather, but I don't want to melt. I don't want to melt. So I absolutely love the Burr months. I love September and October especially. And then, of course, we get into the holiday season with November and December. But before that, we get just a little bit of a nice, cool, crisp mornings. And, I love it. So, that being said, as you can imagine, today we are going to be doing some projects that help us feel a little bit cooler out. Okay? Now, if you have never been on a Think Tank Thursday live before, let me just give you a quick rundown of how that works. All right? Basically, this is a fully immersed, fully interactive live stream. All right. So that means that I will be kind of prompting you to choose between a this or a that item. And I will use your answers to help create the project that we're going to be doing tonight. So it's definitely a team effort, and I'm looking forward to it. It's always so much fun. Hey, Sherry, how's it going, darling? I see folks are coming in. Thank you so much for being here. Be sure to come on in and say hello, and we'll go ahead and get started, okay? Now, what I'm going to be sharing with you guys this evening is a little bit of casing, but also a little bit of our creative freedom as well. So I have seen several people ask about how to make something that is on the Stampin' Up! Website. And I thought, you know what? I would do a quick little kind of show and share, but then we're going to change it up a bit too. All right. So with that being said, let me go ahead and change my camera around here so that we are facing down, and we'll get right to it. Okay. Let me grab this right here. I'm so excited because this is probably one of my absolute favorite times of the year. So those who know me well already have a feeling about what kind of thing I'm going to be sharing with you guys. All right, here we go. Okay, so as you can imagine, Halloween, baby. I love Halloween. Absolutely love it. I love the childlike joy of it all. I love all of the little creepy crawly things that go bump in the night. I like thrills and chills and, nothing crazy, evil, gory, or anything like that, but just cute, fun. Anyway, you get the idea. So let me bring my phone in because what I want to show you is this picture right here. If you can see, all right, this picture is on the Stampin' Up! Website. And a lot of folks are loving that beautiful little banner right there. And I thought that I would share with you guys just some quick idea, tips, whatever, on how this banner is basically assembled. All right. Now, from here, we're going to change it up because we're not actually going to make a banner. We're going to take this little panel that we make and we're going to turn it into a card. Okay, so this is going to be fun. All right, what we have is we've got our picture here for inspiration. Okay, we have the Spooky Sweet collection. Say that 10 times fast. It has the beautiful designer series paper, which I actually haven't pulled out to play with yet. There are so many amazing things to enjoy playing with that you kind of want to put off those items that don't need to be done so early. Case in point, Halloween. I wouldn't start playing with Halloween stuff in July, even though I've had access to these things since July. And so I've had them kind of put away on my shelf, waiting for the burr months to get here. And we're very close, so I feel like it's close enough that I can actually start playing just a little bit with it. I'm really excited, so I can't wait anymore. All right, we have the Spooky Sweet Designer Series paper. We have the Spooky Halloween Stamp and Die Bundle. Ooh, that light. There we go. We've got the, oh gosh, what is this? Petunia Pop Iridescent Ribbon. It is sparkly and beautiful, and it's got bits of green and purple, and it's not regular glitter. This is like metallic or iridescent threads. It's woven directly into the ribbon. And what that means is that you get that gorgeous shimmer that you can see there without it flaking off or coming undone or whatever. I mean, that is the ribbon. It's absolutely phenomenal. Okay, and then we also have the Shimmer Star foam stickers, these guys right here. Now, I know when I first got these, I'm pretty sure that I did kind of an unboxing with you, and I mentioned about the Shimmer Star foam stickers. At first glance, you can tell that they have glitter all over them. And if you've been around me very long at all, you know that Dana is absolutely not a glitter girl, right? I love the look of it. It's beautiful. I detest working with it. I absolutely hate, loathe even. I detest working with glitter. I hate it being everywhere, and it never stays put. It always gets on everything. It's just not my jam. However, Stampin' Up, thank you, Lord, for Stampin' Up, does such an amazing job with their glittery things that if I tell you it's Dana approved glitter, you can rest assured that you're not going to be covered with glitter when you work with it, okay? And to prove my point, the shimmery stars here, you can see a couple of little flecks of glitter on the clear sheet. It's literally just from where the shapes were die cut. Okay, so yes, there will be a couple of little flecks of glitter on the plastic, which may go other places eventually. But in general, and you can see I'm rubbing the glitter and what should go flying everywhere, and there is none, right? There is no glitter popping off. There's no glitter flying around the table. The glitter stays where it's meant to stay. This I love. This glitter is beautiful. I love this glitter. Okay? So, for future reference, if you didn't already know, if I say something is Dana approved glitter, you can get excited and know that you can play with the glitter and it's not going to be all over your face, especially your nose. You know that spot right there at the side of your nose where every time you look forward or turn your face, even the slightest little bit, your eye catches the glimpse of it and you end up looking cross-eyed trying to see that stupid little fleck of glitter. It's awful. It's awful. And it doesn't matter. You say, well, Dana, don't touch your face. Except glitter knows. It knows. It's evil. It's vile. It knows. And it just makes a beeline. It's like it pops off the paper right onto the side of your face, just so that you can be staring it down for eternity, or it lands on the apples of your cheeks. You know what I'm saying? I know you do. Anyway, this is Dana approved glitter. Okay. We have all of the things in the suite. And you know, this suite is actually really inexpensive. It's $88 US dollars, of course, for the whole kit and caboodle, stamps, dies, everything. And the dies are super stinking cute. Now, we also have the Fright Night Stamp and Die bundle. Now, here we go, Dana. You're bringing in multiple sets. That's making the price go up. Yes, I know. I'm sorry. But check out the dies. So cool. Now, if you don't like the stamps, just get the dies. I love them. You've got the beautiful tags. We've got some gorgeous little spindly spider webs. Eek and boo. We're going to do some fun things with this. I cannot wait. So let's get to it, shall we? All right. First things first, I'm going to set this stuff aside for just a moment. Okay. And I'm bringing in some die cuts. Now, I've already done the cutting for us so that it's quick and simple, but I'm using the Party Banners dies. And oh my gosh, I am absolutely loving these things. Now, they are indeed an investment. However, if you have checked the price of a custom birthday banner in the last year, okay, make a couple of those and you will have made your money back a few times over. All right, what I have is, let's see here. I'm just going to set these out where they make sense, because this is the one part that I'm not 100% on. Okay, I have the, let's see, 5th smallest, 6th smallest, and 7th smallest. So this is pretty close to the center size. Okay, 5th, 6th, 7th, consecutive of each other, that we're going to be using. And I went ahead and did both sizes because I'm not 1,000,000% sure if we're using the biggest size and then this one, or if we're using the middle size and then this one. And actually, the more I look at the picture, it uses 2 different sizes. So it's a little bit challenging to see what the actual sizes are, but you can certainly tell that this one is smaller than this one. So they've staggered. There's a bigger one, a next smaller, a bigger one, and a smaller. And from the picture, it is a bit hard to tell which size actually is the smaller size. Like maybe this one is the smaller one and they went another step up, or maybe not. I don't know. So we're going to take this kind of at face value, okay? But we can get the idea at least of how this works. One thing that I did to somewhat gauge the size is, and I hope that this worked out for me, I looked at the stamp right there, Happy Halloween, okay? And I see how Happy Halloween fits on that purple and orange layer, okay? I see where it lines up. And so what I did was I took the Happy Halloween stamp set, or the Happy Halloween stamp out of the set, and then I lined it up with the die so that I could see how much space is on either side. Now, in my mind, that lines up right about how this would. Okay, there's just maybe a 1/4 of an inch or so on either side. If I put it on this one, I mean, this one may work. It actually may be this one. That's why I've got the 3 different ones, because I'm not sure if this is the bigger one or if this is the bigger. Anyway, you get the idea. But we're just going to work with it whichever way we want to do. And so that will be the first question of the evening. Do you think that the Happy Halloween there being your guide, and now don't look at the layer directly behind it because that's actually foil sheet, but look at the purple and yellowy orange colored layer and see how much space there is on either side, and tell me, is it this size or is it this size? And really, we don't even care exactly which one it is. We just want to know which size we're doing. Are we doing this size or are we doing this size? Okay, so let me know. Is it going to be this one or is it going to be this one? All right, so let me know in the comments, is it the second one or the third one? Okay, and while you guys are doing that, I'm going to set the extra bits aside. And we're going to go like this. Okay, and maybe we just want to do both of those. I don't know. You'll have to let me know what you think. Okay. All right. Sherry thinks the larger one matches better, and I tend to think so too. All right, here, and actually I can probably do this, and maybe that would even be easier, because maybe the Happy Halloween does fit there better. All right, so, no, because that doesn't show it to you at all. That doesn't show it to you at all, does it? Oh my gosh, it's like it doesn't even exist. There we go. All right, so there's that one. And then that was weird. That just vanished completely, didn't it? And then here's that one. So yeah, actually this one may even be a little bit bigger. So maybe the Happy Halloween does go on this one. It's got the 1/4 inch there a little bit better, I think. So, okay, I'm going to set the dies aside because we don't need those anymore. And I'm going to go ahead and start showing you how to color the white layers. And I'm going to put the Happy Halloween on a block. Okay, so we can at least do that. All right. And my Memento ink. Okay. All right, now I am going to take this piece first. And I know you guys love when I bring out these already pre-colored papers, but so much fun. And and this is going to be perfect, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to take 3 colors. Now, if you're looking at the picture, you know that Petunia Pop is most likely the purple color because the ribbon that comes in the suite is Petunia Pop. And pretty sure, you can see there the stars are Petunia Pop. Petunia Pop is the purple that's in the DSP. And then I have Timid Tiger and Darling Duckling for the orange and the yellow. However, had I been smart at the moment, I would have read that Daffodil Delight and Pumpkin Pie are the orange and yellow that are in here, not Timid Tiger and Darling Duckling. So I'll pull these out and grab Daffodil Delight and Pumpkin Pie. All right. And these are the colors we're going to use. Now, what I want to do first is I'm going to take my pumpkin pie brush and I'm going to start out with the pumpkin pie just a little bit. And I like to go around the outer edges of my ink pad because, you know, typically you're stamping directly in the center. And so by using the outer edges with the brush, you're helping disperse your ink a little better. I'm going to tap it off the paper just a little so it kind of softens up the ink that's on the brush. And then I'm going to start just slightly off the edge of the paper and work in a circular fashion right across the middle of my little die cut banner here, okay? All right, so here we go, nice and easy. And then come back across, and we're just going to go back and forth a little bit, okay? All right. And now we can go whichever side we want to for the Petunia Pop and the Daffodil Delight. All right. I don't want to dip that in the same spot that I just did the pumpkin pie because I could reactivate that color. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to work my way down, okay? And I'm going to carry it clear down until it touches the pumpkin pie. All right? Just like so. I'm not worried about the pumpkin pie not blending just yet, okay? I'm going to take the Petunia Pop, which is very, very juicy, okay? All right. And I'm going to start from the bottom and the same way I did the yellow in reverse. Okay. And you can see as I work the color in, I'm working it up just a little bit higher and a little bit higher to really blend in that color between the pumpkin pie and the Petunia Pop, okay? I want it to blend together nicely. I don't want it to be a rigid line, okay? Now I'm going to come back in with my pumpkin pie and I'm going to blend right over the top of both of those other colors and really work in my blending. Okay. And then, of course, you can go back and forth until you're satisfied with how it looks. Come in here with my yellow just a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So now we have that. All right. And now we'll do the exact same thing on the bigger one. So I'm going to come back in again with my pumpkin pie blending brush and right along the center. Okay, nice and easy. Remember, you can always add more, but you can't take it off. Okay, nice. Hey, Melissa, how's it going, darling? Okay, the yellow. This is the Daffodil Delight. We're going to come in and blend that all the way down to the pumpkin pie. Okay, there we go. All right, and then the petunia pop. There we go. And you can make it as light or as dark as you want it. It's entirely up to you. Let's come back in with a little bit of that pumpkin pie. Right along the edges. There we go. Really blending in all three of those colors. There we go. All right, now before I get any of it on me, let me go ahead and close it up. Okay. There we go. Get these out of the way because these are fully loaded ink spots at this point. All right, now then, we have our bigger piece and our smaller piece, and we can bring in the black banner background. Is this starting to look familiar now? Yeah. All right, let's bring these back in and you can see, there we go. So we've got the color changing here. Let's start adding in some little details, okay? So what do we want to bring in? Do we want to do that little flamingo because she's super stinking cute? Or do we want to bring in the fence and the crows? That's cute. Or do we want to bring in the bear? Let's see, what else can we bring in? You know what? Let us bring in either the cat or the Frankenstein. And I'm actually thinking that the little Frankenpup, haha, would be super cute. And the little sparkle here, it almost looks like the lollipop is what's sending out sprinkles, right? Let's take this part and we'll take Frankenpup out too and put these on blocks. So Frankenpup's gonna get a D block, and I think the little sparkles here can get that one. Now, of course, we're using photopolymer stamps, and I know you've heard me say this and you already know it, but when you're using photopolymer, you really want to kind of have some sort of cushion underneath it. And you don't want it super soft, but just enough to give a little bit of, a tiny bit of give so that you get a really good, clean stamped image. So I'm going to set those off to the side for just a moment. I've got my Pierce mat here. I'm going to grab a piece of white cardstock that I can use to stamp this little guy on. Let me see if I've got a scrap big enough. I'm sure I do. And look at that. That is perfect. Well, you know, you can't see because the computer, that's so weird. Anyway. All right, tap, 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 not smush, 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 right? Okay, tap, 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 not smush, smush, smush. Take a look at it. If, because I haven't used this stamp yet, if you find that it's not gathering up the ink the way you know it should, grab a piece of scrap paper and twist it and kind of rub the ink off of the stamp, okay? And that will help you get the little coating that's sometimes on photopolymer stamps. It will help you get that off, okay? And then without cleaning it, we're gonna go right back into tap, 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 okay? Tap, tap, tap. All right, that's better. And then let me stamp it down right there. Beautiful. Okay, and you know, we can either use Stampin' Blends markers, which is going to give us a really good, crisp, clean, saturated color, or we can use our watercolor pencils. So how about we do this? How about I go ahead and stamp one more of these guys. And let me bring it down a little bit here. I'm letting it sit on the paper just because we've got some really bold sections of black. And I want all of that ink to go into the paper there, okay? All right, let's see. I happen to have, and excuse me for having the original packaging for the watercolor pencils assortment number 1, but this is the one that's in the catalog as well. So the colors are all the same. And then I have the watercolor pencils assortment number 2. Honestly, the assortment 1 is probably going to have, well, I tell you what, I didn't want to use 2 different ones, but this one has Gorgeous Grape and it has Granny Apple Green, and that's in the assortment number 2. Okay, so let's pull those out. All right, there's Gorgeous Grape and Granny Apple. And then I'm going to pull out Pumpkin Pie, Daffodil Delight, and Basic Black. Okay. All right. Daffodil Delight, Pumpkin Pie, and basic black. All right, and I will attempt to remember which one goes where. All right, now that we have these, let me turn around here and grab the Stampin' Blends markers as well. All right, so we need pumpkin pie, right? Daffodil Delight. Trying to make sure that I get the same colors, except for the purple. Instead of getting Gorgeous Grape, I'm going to go ahead and get, I think we have Petunia Pop. Let me see. Yep, there we go. Petunia Pop. Okay. And what else? Oh, Granny Apple and Basic Black. Okay, so Granny Apple and Basic Black. Now, the really cool thing is that you are going to get to see, side by side of sorts, how each of these look. All right, so this is going to be a lot of fun. Okay, first things first. Frankenpup, if he is going to be a typical Frankenstein person, he needs to be green, doesn't he? So let me go ahead and grab the light Granny Apple green. And I'm going to just come in and color all of his little areas here. And I think I'm going to save that spot and see what I want to do with it. If I want to leave it white or what. I'm not really sure yet. Okay. Here we go. Of course, the difference being between the watercolor pencils and the Stampin' Blends right off the bat is that you can color all of a section with the watercolor pencils and not have to worry about it. Whereas in order to get any of the shading and highlighting with the Stampin' Blends, you want to kind of do a little bit at a time, right? Let me bring this down. I'm going to come down here along the base of his neck and work my way out. Go around his little bolt and just slightly up the front. Okay. I'm going to come in here on all of his little black lines. Okay. And then blend it out. Okay. There we go. Now, I have never professed to be an expert Stampin' Blends colorer. If you have watched any of my videos before, you know I always put that disclaimer. I'm not the world's best at it, but I do love using them. They're fun to use. And as you can see, I have super saturated that, which you don't necessarily want to do, but it's good. We'll work with it. All right, now we're going to go ahead and do his hands. We'll stick with our little green bits to begin with here. So let's do a paw and then another paw. I'm going to add just a little bit of the dark right there on his wrists and the bottom of his fingers. Okay. And then I want to do his legs. Okay. Do the inside there. Okay. And then let's do that last ear. All right. And then just a little bit. Go. All right. Okay, now then, let's see. What color should we do his tunic? Hey, Luann, how are you, darling? Should we do his tunic like maybe orange and the undershirt and bottom layer of his pants in Petunia Pop, and then do his pants, his trousers, and his bolt in black? What do you think? I know that we could do the bolt in a gray. Let's see, what kind of a gray? Oh yeah, we've got basic gray in this one. All right, let's do a gray here. I'm trying to keep the colors the same, so we can get a good comparison here. That's green, not gray. That's brown. There it is. There's the gray. Okay. All right. And then let me bring in, because we don't actually have basic gray, let me bring in dark smoky slate, I think, for the blends. Okay. So because it's so small, I'm just going to come in with the dark smoky slate, just like that. Okay. All right. So tunic is going to be pumpkin pie. And, another way, if you're kind of heavy-handed with your markers, which I can sometimes be, really you just need to kind of lightly glaze over the paper, and the color is going to spread because it's alcohol ink. But occasionally, I'm trying to make sure that I don't get any white spots that I forget. I don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to do my little accent spots in the darker pumpkin pie first, and then I'll come back and I'll use the lighter one. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of push that green back up where it belongs on the dog's face, right there. Okay, come down just a little bit here. And then I'm going to come from the bottom and just work my way up a little. I'm going to do that little X mark there on his tunic. And I'm kind of feather my color up just a bit. Okay. And then I'll come in with my light pumpkin pie and do my little swirls and do my little bit of blending there. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, now let's do Petunia Pop for the underside. Okay, I'm going to bring this in just a bit there. And then just a little bit here on the underside of his arms. Okay. And then a little bit on the underside of those trousers. And then come in with my light petunia pop and work it down. Okay. There we go. Oh, he's looking smart now, isn't he? All right, super cute. Okay, and I am seeing that there's a tiny little touch of the bolt on the other side of his neck over here that you can see. So I'm going to give that a quick little color there. All right, now we need to do the black for his trousers. So let me start out with the dark basic black right along the inseam, and then just a little bit up here under the tunic. Okay, kind of brushing it down towards the open area there. And then I'm going to take the light basic black and I'm going to brush it on down the rest of the way. There we go. There. Oh, he's cute. Oh my goodness. All right, now my next question for you is, do we go ahead and color that eye green? Because even though it has a circle around it, if we don't, I don't know. I think it would look better if we color it green also. You can see here, without having any coloring on there, what it looks like without, and then what it looks like with everything but his little eye colored green. So my question to you is this: do we color the eye green, or do we color it what? Do we color it light black or smoky slate? What do you think? Green or black? Comment and let me know. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and just start coloring some of the parts up here with the coloring pencils. Okay, so are we doing that extra eye, or that, not extra eye, but but the other eye? Are we doing it in green or are we doing it in black? Okay. All right. And while you're figuring that out, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and color some of our little dude here with the pencils. Now, I don't actually have any intention of watercoloring this guy. I'm just using the pencils to color with. And I say that because it really does make a difference if you're wanting to color it to make a watercolor look. You wouldn't necessarily just color it in, color all of it in like I am for regular coloring purposes. You might be a little more concentrated in some spots and a little less concentrated in others, where I'm just trying to get him colored in. I will add a little bit of extra hand to color in some shadowing, similar to where I put the darker shades on the blending, the Stampin' Blend, but not too much, because there's really not a whole lot more that you can do with the coloring pencils without adding water. All right, so what are we doing, guys? Are we adding, making that eye green, or are we making that eye black? What do you think? I don't know about you guys, but coloring is very calming and peaceful to me when I'm not having to be super crazy about it. I love it. Okay. Let's see. I need to sharpen that pencil. Now that sharpening the pencil is the downside of having pencils versus the markers, but you don't really have to sharpen very much, and you actually don't necessarily want it to be a pointed sharp, just sharp enough that it's got a tip to it. So you can see mine's still got a little bit of a rounded tip. I like that because I don't want it to lay down a whole lot of color, and I don't want it to be really sharp color. I want it to be a nice, softer color, and then I can always add more if I want. Okay, there we go. And now let's see, orange for his tunic. Let me go ahead and mark that one. Okay, here we go. I'd love to be playing music in the background. My girls who come and craft with me, they know I almost always have music playing in the background. But if I did that, of course, you already know that Facebook and YouTube would scream copyright infringements at me, and then nobody would ever get to see my videos, and that would not be good. So, you don't know this, but I'm humming little songs in my head, and right now the song that I'm humming is Monster Mash. Oh, goodness. I love it. All right, now let me get some purple in here. This purple is going to be a little bit of a different purple than the petunia pop because there isn't a petunia pop in the pencils. So it will actually be gorgeous grape instead. So there will be that difference between the two, but at least you'll get a pretty reasonable idea. Okay, and then the basic black. Now you may notice I'm kind of turning my pencil every little bit, and that is because you can actually feel when it's getting a little bit softer where it's flattening out on one side. It's not as crisp of lines. And so I'm just kind of turning it a little bit so that I'm keeping kind of the same amount of points, so to speak, on each. Okay, so here we go. We've got our colored pencil, and then we have the Stampin' Blends. All right, and Sherry says, color that eye black. All right. Well, I will go ahead and color it with the pencil. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to use the light basic black because I don't want it to be so black we can't see that it's an eye, right? All right, here we go. And this marker tends to be pretty dark. There we go. All right, now you can see the difference very clearly. All of the depth and detail you can get with the Stampin' Blends markers versus the lighter bit of the watercolor. Now, if I wanted to come in with my watercolor pen and I could smooth out, let me get it. Come on, water. I want a little, not a lot. There we go. Okay, I can come in with just a little bit of the water on my brush and just kind of work around. This is a little bit harder to do holding it up, but it will smooth out the color and you won't see the pencil streaks anymore. So you can still do that as well. And then when you start applying water, now you can push the color around, you can add deeper outlines, you can do shadowy areas, all kinds of things. It really opens up the coloring world a whole lot when you add water. But just the tiniest little bit on this one so that he's smooth but not actually watercolor. And you can do it that way. So adding water to your watercolored images really, really changes the tone. Okay, now I'm going to just kind of clean off my brush there, and I'm going to go into the purple. All right. So I hope you can see how it's kind of changing up a bit. I'm trying to do it high enough up here you can tell. I don't know if you can see between this arm and this arm, but there's coloring lines on this one and the color is a bit darker. Whereas once I added a little bit of water, it softened it up just a bit and gave me a brighter tone. There we go. And now watch what it does when I do the orange. Okay, that pumpkin pie. Let me add just a little bit more water. You know, I could get a tissue, but why bother? I've got flesh for a reason. It's just colored pencil. It washes right off. No worries. All right, there we go. And this is going to help smooth out all of those little pencil lines. And again, we're trying to be super, super light-handed with the water because this is just regular cardstock and we don't intend to make it watercolor image here. We're just trying to smooth out some lines a little bit. Okay, there we go. All right, now last bit, just to make sure that it's the same. Let me get the pant legs here. Okay. There we go. All right. Very nice. All right, so now we've got the watercolor pencils and the Stampin' Blends. Okay. Now, we probably should go ahead and figure out the color of our lollipops there. And I kind of think that we might be able to try a little swirl. So let's see if we can. Let's start out with a little yellow and then to orange. And then to purple. Okay. And then how would that look with the Stampin' Right markers? Hey, Anne, how are you, love? All right. I'm going to take the blunt tip of the darker Daffodil Delight, and I'm just coming around here. Okay. And then the blunt tip of the darker Pumpkin Pie, and I'm going to flick into where I left off with the daffodil just to help it kind of blend in a little bit. Okay. And then the darker Petunia Pop. Okay, again, flick into the orange just a little bit and then work my way out. There we go. All right. So, Stampin' Blends, watercolor pencils. All right. Now then, I'm going to set that aside for just a minute. Let me get these out of my way. Okay. I want to come in here with this piece and the little sparkly things there and Memento ink. All right. And I'm going to just stamp it up like that. Okay. And then I'm going to take this piece and this piece and this piece and some black cardstock. There it is. And let's do a little bit of quick die cutting. I'm having, there we go. Give me a scrap, please. All right. How are you today, Anne? We are casing the online collection with a twist. We're going to change it up just a little bit here. But first, I need to do these pieces. Okay. All right, there we go. Hold on, let's see if I can do them all at once or if this is a recipe for disaster. We shall see. Oh, I'm so glad that you do, Anne. Thank you very much. Oh, that makes me so happy. I'm really glad that you enjoy the videos, love. I know that Think Tank Thursday is quite a bit different than some other live streams, and you know, we do a bit of talking. It does take a bit longer than a standard live stream might take, but you know, we enjoy the process and enjoy spending time together, and I have lost my little pokey tool. Oh no. Where did it go? There we go. All right. I've kind of got a mess on my desk. I've been working on quite a few things all at once because I will be leaving town again the middle of next month. Actually, the 11th, I'll be leaving. And I'll be making that big, crazy trip around the Midwest again because I'm headed back home. Back towards middle USA to do baby shower for our first grandbaby, which I'm super excited about. But being the crafty person that I am, I choose to spend $50 on supplies to make a $30 item, but it'll be made by me. It'll be made with love. It'll be so much better just because of that. So that's what I'm telling myself. But currently, I don't know if you guys have seen them, but they're absolutely gorgeous. They're ribbon sashes, and typically it sits right above mommy to be's belly. You know, they tie it around the upper part of what's left of their waist. And it has little ribbon and fabric flowers in a little beautiful cluster that makes a gorgeous little belly sash. And I am absolutely loving the process. And so maybe next Thursday, I'll be able to show you some bits of it. Right now, it's over there on my other craft table, all spread out, fabric and ribbon and all kinds of things all spread out. And it's just laying in crazy chaotic pieces. So I'm working on that. And then I also am making the invitations and all of the things for the shower, which I've got to get out in the mail this week. Well, not this week, Monday. And so anyway, I've just been very, very busy with all the things. And so it's been kind of chaotic for me, but that's okay. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to share pictures with you guys. All right, guys, this is the, the little bookmark die cut piece that is in the Spooky Halloween stamp set. It's this die right here. And I've done one for each of the panels because in the picture, this is actually what's on the upper back part of the banner. So I'll show you that. And then I will tell you what my assumption is on how the banner is assembled, but we're not going to do a banner. Remember, I told you we wouldn't. Here's the fence, which I have that done here. And then I've done a couple of the little bats, and I'm going to leave it out because I may do another bat. I don't know. We'll see. It depends on what you guys think. But I do also need my little Frankenpup there so that I can cut him out. And I'm going to cut part of this off because it'll be easier if I can just do one of him at a time. All right. So let's do this. And I always keep washi tape, just generic, Hobby Lobby on special, or Walmart, or any of the brands, Amazon, wherever it is that you get your washi tape. And I just keep a little bit on hand to tape down my dies. So it's like this. I've just put a little bit on there because it would be very, very sad to do all the trouble of coloring a piece and then the dye slip and it cut his poor little hand off. That would just be devastating. So if it's something that, is just a shape that I can just run through the machine again, I don't necessarily take the time of doing that. But definitely when it's something that I've taken the time to color, I really want to make sure that he's die cut properly. All right, let me cut this one out as well. And this is just really so that you can see, so that you can get a really good view of how the two look, because you guys will be voting here in just a moment of which one of these Puppensteins or Frankenpups, whichever you want to call it, which one we want to use. All right, so it'll be entirely up to you. Okay, here we go. And I can get maybe a couple, 3, 4 uses out of each strip of washi before it's kind of gummy and icky and I have to throw it away. And so it's fine. That's why I use the cheap stuff, so that it doesn't stick too much and it doesn't ruin my projects, because we definitely don't want the washi to tear the top layer off of our cardstock either. That would be awful. Okay. Here we go. All right, now what I want to do at this point is I want to bring back the picture. Okay, so let me bring back my picture. All right, here we go. And then you can see right back here, this is these little bits. Okay, so I have my little guy here. I need you guys to decide, are we using the colored pencil Frankenpup, or are we using the Stampin' Blends Frankenpup? All right, you guys decide that while I am assembling pieces. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue a couple of pieces together. So are we using the watercolor pencil? Are we using the pencils pup, or are we using the blends pup? Okay, so just comment pencils or blends, and that's what we'll do. Okay. Now I'm going to put this piece on here. All right. And, something else that's really cool about using the inks and doing this is that if we wanted to, we could add some splatters in here and it would give us a really nice, oh gosh, I just lost the word. No. Oh no. What is that word called? Somebody help me out here with the water splotches. The oh, goodness. I just lost it. Anyway, I'm sorry. But we can add some little water droplets to make some different backgrounds here if we'd like to. Okay, I want to add, before I put the back on this one, I want to do just a little bit right here. What is that word? Oh my gosh, my brain has been so, well, when you have a lot going on in your brain, that's what happens. It's okay. There we go. There we go. All right. And I don't know, is it just boho? That doesn't feel right, but okay. Now that we have these, What they have done is they're taking this part and they're lining it up centered on here, okay? And they're gluing this part down and then gluing this on top of it, and that will hold this piece, all right? And then they take the ribbon and sandwich it in the back. So right here, we have that piece. We would just glue it down like that, and that is what would hold the banner. Okay, do you see that? So if you wanted to make the banner like what's on the website, that is how you would do it. Okay? If you're wondering, and if you'd like to do that, that is how you're going to do it. All right? But I have said that we're not going to make the banner. So we are going to put this directly onto a card. One of them we'll put directly onto a card. The other one we're going to turn just into a tag. Okay? All right. Now, I am going to go ahead and attach this just like I would if I were doing the banner. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue and bring it right down in the center. Okay. And this side, I'm going to just tack down. Okay. Like that. No worries whatsoever. All right. And there's that one. And then I'm going to put this piece on. Okay. Like so. All right, there we go. Okay, and then this one, let's see here. I'm going to put him on dimensionals. Anne has suggested that we use the little blends pup, so we're going to use him. Let me grab, where are my dimensionals? There they are. I'm acquiring quite the mess over here. It's all right. It's not actually crafting if it's not a mess, is it? Okay, now, let's see. I'm not sure that's going to fit, so we'll do a little bit of snipping here. Why I don't pull it from the edges when I want to snip it, I don't know. My reason is because I already had it off the sheet. And have you ever tried to put these back on the sheet? It's a little, a little difficult. So I do want to put more dimensionals here though, because that's too much space for his feet and they will dangle, and we definitely don't need dangly feet. So then I'm going to grab one of my little small ones here, and that one will go perfectly right there. All right, so now I have that, and I'm going to put him there, and he is looking so stinking cute. And then I'm going to take this piece, and I am going to separate it. So I'm going to cut it, and I'll put one end closer to this side, one end closer to this side, and where it splits, I'm going to cover him over the top of it so you will never even know. All right. So there we go. We've just snipped it off. Let me grab my multi-purpose liquid glue here. Okay. There. And then I'm going to put it right about here. Let me bring it all the way to the edge there. There we go, just like that. All right, and let's see if I can line it up reasonably. Adding a little bit of the liquid glue to the back side. Notice that I am not putting very much at all. I'm really just kind of spreading the edge of it across it. Okay. Now, I know I want it to be right about there. That looks about right, I think. Not too bad anyway. Okay, not too bad at all. And then when we put him on, look at that. You can't tell. Isn't that brilliant? I love it. All right. So no worries about your fence not being big enough, because you can always snip it. All right, here we go. Okay, now we've done that. Isn't that terrific? I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, I'm going to save that over there. And then I want to put a couple of our little glittery stars. So I need your help, friends. Are we going to do white, fresh free, or petunia pop, or black for the stars? And I'm actually just going to put a couple right here. Okay, so let me know which of the three colors I'm going to do for the stars here. And while you're figuring that out, I'm going to go ahead and grab a strip of white cardstock that I can use to stamp my Happy Halloween. Oh, that one's a more narrow strip. I think I can use that one. That's good. Okay. All right, so which color of the stars are we going to use there? And while you're working that out, okay, tap, 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 not smush, smush, smush. All right, and then okay, move that out of the way. All right, Anne says fresh freesia. Miss Anne, I tend to think that is an excellent choice. All right. Come here. Okay, so we actually have 3 different sizes of stars on each of the colors, which is just fabulous. I think that is fantastic. All right, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do this and there. I love it. And maybe I will go ahead and do a third one, because you technically should do them in odd numbers. Here we go. And that is fabulous, I think. All right. Now, let me set that aside. Okay, now then, how are we going to use this on a card, you ask? Well, here we go. It's going to be super, super simple, okay? We're going to just take a card base and we're going to write on the front, and I'll show you. but we're going to use DSP a little bit as well. So here's what I need to know. And I'm going to pull out this piece and let's see. I don't think I want the white. We'll see about the black because I think depending on our DSP as to what color of paper we want. And I think, yes. All right. We have options. Are we going to do the candy background, which would be absolutely adorable? All right, there you go. Or, let's see here. Or we could do the orange background, which may be just a little bit too much, but you know, we have options, is what I mean. We have all these cool options. So let me go ahead and stick with basic black fur card base. Let me cut it down. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really a visual kind of person. Sometimes I can imagine things in my mind, but other times I've really got to kind of lay it out a little bit before I can decide what I'm seeing, so to speak, you know? All right, then let me fold that, and I'm going to burnish that wine really nicely. Okay, there we go. All right, now here's what we're looking at. So if I were to take this one, for example, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this one, not because I'm committing you to this design, but I have other thoughts for this paper as well. So I know that I can go ahead and cut this piece at 4 by 5 1/4, which is our standard card front layer, right? And I can show you that one. And then let's see. Tell me, friends, aside from this one, which we'll vote on here in a second, do you like better the petunia, or do you like better the orange? So pumpkin or petunia, between these two, okay? You will have another option to vote, but pumpkin or petunia, okay? Tell me which one you prefer. And I'll just do this. That way you can kind of see. Oh, yeah, that works, doesn't it? Okay. Pumpkin or petunia? Okay, let's see here. I see petunia. Okay. All right. Okay, now what I will do is I will cut. Let me grab a four. 5 3/8. By 4 1/8. Okay. All right. Now, oh, come here. This and let's go with okay. Now you have to decide between petunia pop with a little belly band strip here. Okay. Or, and let me go ahead and add my little dimensionals because I already know I want to do this. Okay. There we go. All right. Are we going to do this with, let's say, a little strip here? That's 4 1/8. I know I'm working a little bit off of the screen, just a second, but all I'm doing is cutting this strip, so you're not missing anything. Okay. See. All right. Okay, so do we want something like this? Isn't that cute? Isn't that adorable? Or would you rather have, let me see, and actually I can go ahead and do this because I already know that I'm going to make another card later. So, okay. All right. Are we going to do the petunia pop somewhere in here? Or are we going to do or are we going to do this? Let's see here. All right. Are we doing Petunia Pop and that black panel, or are we doing the candy with the pumpkin strip? So, are we doing the Petunia background, or are we doing the candy background? Which do you think, huh? And while you're figuring that out, I'm going to go ahead and work on this just a little bit. Yes, and it looks fabulous, doesn't it? Uh-huh. Yes, I think that both would be wonderful. I don't think that you can lose on either one, but there we go. All right, so you think the candy one, eh? All right, I'm going to set this one off to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and tack down the candy paper. This paper is very, very pretty. I love it. All right, we're going to put this right there. And then grab a little bit of that pumpkin pie. Now this strip was only 1 inch instead of 1.5 inches. And honestly, I did that a bit selfishly because when I was looking at the paper here, I didn't want to cut off the little guys here. So I just cut off 1 inch so that it took the parts that were already half hanging off of the paper. So that's one of those, I guess, design kind of things where you can make some little bits of changes that don't really matter a whole lot, or that you can kind of fudge on, and it saves things. For example, those that cut the DSP background at 4 1/8 instead of 4 inches, right? That 1/8 of an inch does make a difference. It is noticeable, but it's such a small difference that you can get away with doing 4 inches instead of 4 1/8 if you wanted to get 6 background layers on one sheet of DSP, right? Okay. Peel these off. And you know, I haven't done it yet, but I'd really like to see how well that Petunia Pop ribbon shreds up the middle. Would you like to see that? All right, here we go. Now, what I'm lining up here is the tips of the banner and the tip of the bat to kind of center it. It doesn't have to be perfect per se, but I would like it to look good. So, in fact, if you wanted, you could go completely off center like that. But for this particular purpose, we want it to be relatively centered. I think that'll do it. All right, there we go. Isn't that so stinking cute? All right, now the next thing that we can do is take our Happy Halloween. All right, and we're going to trim around it. Okay, and let me go through here and trim around this one. And I really, really think that if I tried hard enough, I could turn this into Howl-O-Ween. I think I could. I could do individual letters. I'm not going to, but wouldn't that be nice? If you change this to Howl, so Howloween, Howl-O-Ween. I think that would do beautifully. Now, if you were going to do something like that, you would definitely want to do each individual letter, or, take the time to line up your stamp and stamp it, but that's an awful lot of work. And being Halloween, it would look really cute to have the individual letters, Let's do it. I'm thinking about it, and if I don't just do it, I'm going to be annoyed that I didn't do it. So let's just do it. Let's just do it. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to stamp another of the Halloween because we need the OW, but we need the OW for the rest of it as well. But we don't need the rest of the Happy. So I'm just going to come in, and actually, you know what? Let's quit making it difficult on us and just stamp the whole thing right there. Okay, and then I'm gonna take this one. That's right, Anne, just do it because it will be really stinking cute, won't it? Okay, so what I want to do is I'm gonna cut each of these letters apart. I don't need the A. I'll think about cutting those apart. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay. Okay. And yes, we're going to cut this apart too because one looks weird, or two letters look weird when they're together. Yes, that's already looking cool. Okay, and then I need the O and the W from this one. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to trim them pretty close because otherwise they will look really weird. Some of them are going to have to be cut at angles. Some of them are having to be cut straight. So that's all part of the charm. All part of the charm of the weirdness here. Okay, there's Howl. Let's do the H. And I really want to kind of cut these like not straight, I want to make them all kinds of wonky. All right, so Howl And I may not even want that extra L, but we'll see. I need your help with that. We need to know if we're going to do howl. I think it might look weird to have two L's in it, so we may want to ditch it for one. And that would be okay. But there we go. Here. And yep. Wean. Okay, guys, so while I'm cutting these, let me know, what do you think as it's building up here? Halloween, which is great, but do we want only one L? Like how, since we're kind of playing on that, do we want it to be like that? Halloween with just one L? I think that might be the winner, honestly. Also, we need to be careful about our space, right? Because now we've got all these letters cut apart, and that's going to take up more room. Okay, so there's Halloween, or, and I think we're already getting our answer, honestly. Because if I do a second L, it just, well, for one thing, it's a pain in the neck here. There we go. So it just looks a little bit, I don't know. What do you think? One L or two L's, friends? One L or two L's? Let me know. Here it is, Halloween. Okay, and then let me cut these also, because if that's cut, obviously this is going to have to be as well. Okay. All right, I'm not crazy about that H. So the good thing about going ahead and cutting more is that I can just cut it right off. That's better. Okay. All right, one L. Okay. H-A-P-P-Y. All right. Okay, one L. I agree. I think that Halloween, I really think that needs to be one. Okay, let's see if we can't get these strategically placed. And now that I'm thinking about it, this might have been a good afterthought. We could actually just put this on the inside and leave the front as it is. We could do that. And if we were to do that, let me see here. Maybe what we do... Maybe what we do is on the inside, let's put these up here so they're out of the way, but you can still see them. Maybe what we can do is like this. Okay, what if we put this across here on the inside? Now I'm just speculating here, okay? If you don't have the take your pick tool, you really need it, and this is a prime example of why. This little putty tip thing, I have it off of my take your pick tool, and I have it just sitting in my little tool caddy here because my take your pick tool has the dye brush on the other end of it. So I keep this just separate. But what would it look like? Oh, I need to scrape and get some more. Hold on here. Okay, are you being crazy? What's going on? You can use this, I promise. Let me scrape. There we go. Scrape some of the old stuff off. Twist and scrape. There we go. There we go. Now let's see. Okay. Why are you being crazy with me? All right. Anyway, what if we did like this? You're going to have to start playing nicely with me. There. That's better. Now I'm getting some of the old stuff off of there. I just had to tweak it a bit more. There. As I say that, and it's still not working for me. It usually does. I swear, you guys know it usually does. There we go. There we go. Okay. Come on. Don't make me look like a liar. That's not nice. Okay. There. There we go. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. No. Don't start playing games with me, friend. All right. If we kind of put these around a little, like just spread them out here. And we may have to cut a bigger piece, so the joke may still be on me. Because this doesn't look very good at all. But my question to you, friends, will be, should we put this Happy Halloween on the front or on the inside of the card? Okay, so if we were to put it on the inside, I can make this just a little bit wider and kind of spread it, on there, and that can be the inside of the card. So this would be the front of the card, and this would be the inside of the card. Or I could, let's see. I could pick the stars off of here and put them out here and finagle in Happy Halloween right here, but I'm just afraid that it would look a little too crowded. So I think that our only option for doing it this way is definitely going to be to do it on the inside So do we want to have that orange strip, or should we just put it on the inside? So that's the question. Are we doing a wider orange strip, or are we just putting it on the inside? What say you? Okay. And I'm going to try to line it up. I'm not going to focus on getting it too much because, I'm going to have to move it again anyway, but just so you can get a good idea of what it would look like without the orange. Okay, so there's what it looks like without. It's not awful. Or we can put a wider strip. Yeah, I think so too, Anne. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut an 1.5 inch strip. This way. All right. And by 4. Okay, there we go. All right, now let's go ahead and bring out the liquid glue. And I'm going to twist this out just a bit more. I normally can keep it fairly flat, like fairly flush with the top, and just scrape a layer off, which is what I just now did actually, and then twist it so it's just slightly above the edge of the tip of the holder. I've actually used this same putty since the Take Your Pick tools came out with Stampin' Up. It just doesn't take very much, honestly. Typically speaking, it doesn't take very much. But let me just tiny bit of glue. Okay, and I'm going to put it right there. I'm going to do the happy. Now it's wanting to work, so now I must have got it all cleared. Okay. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay. And I'm not pressing those down much yet. That way I've got a little bit of room to finagle if I need to. Ooh, don't be doing that now. And it's funny, I don't know if you experience this too, but even as I laid everything out, whoops, even as I laid everything out, and even if I had them spaced perfectly, when I glue them down, inevitably, the spacing, suddenly there's an extra half an inch of space that I didn't have before. That's, right at the far edge of one side or another. So as you can see here, I'm laying it out and there's going to be a bit more space here. So, I'm going to have to start bringing them over just a little bit more. But let's see here. Let's see if I can. Tweezers are good for this. And if you have to move something, giving it a little twist will help get it off of your paper without tearing your paper. And let it dry completely. And then go back with your adhesive eraser and clean it up. Okay, so don't try to clean anything while it's wet, because that's generally when you start rubbing the paper off, like rubbing the patterns off of the paper and things like that. So, just kind of take your time and let it dry. All right, now let's try again here. See if we've spread it a little bit. With the smaller word, I would start with the more center word. But Halloween is such a big word. Okay. Another thing I could do is take one of those L's, like the other L that we cut, and make a dash out of it. I could have done that. I don't know. Maybe I will actually. Because that's really going to be... No, it's not going to be too bad. Okay, never mind. Don't listen to me. Listen to me, but don't listen to me. Okay? All right. There we go. There we go. Halloween. All right. Whoop! I touched that glue. There we go. Okay. Now, HAPPY. All right. There we go. I'm going to start with this one. There we go. Oh, don't do that. Okay. Thank you so much for you guys that are still hanging on, watching, and waiting to see how this all comes together. I appreciate you guys so much. Usually Think Tank Thursday does go into the 90-minute range, but it doesn't usually go over into the 2-hour range, which we have crossed into, but that's okay. We're almost finished. So don't worry. Okay. Here we go. All right, there. Not bad. Okay, now then, let me close this up and my glue. You have no idea how many times I leave that stinking glue open because I don't close it up right away after my think tank, and I put everything away and don't even think about it because it's put in its little holster, and I come out in the next day and it's icky and gross and ugh. All right, here we go. All right, now I have just one little spot right there. So I'm going to very carefully do light little strokes right here. And get that adhesive off. Okay, there we go. Perfect. All right, now you notice there's a little bit of an extra strip here. I'm just going to trim that off with my snips. There we go. And then, where's my adhesive? Okay, here we go. Happy Halloween. Oh, I love that. That is so stinking cute. Oh my gosh, that is adorable. All right, so there we go, guys. We have that beautiful banner piece that we cased from the Stampin' Up! Website. Mostly, we did a few little differences there, but we got the inspiration from the website, did a really nice replication of that banner piece, and then put it on a card base to make a Happy Halloween card. Super stinking cute. Now, how could you dress up? In fact, I mean, you could, if you wanted to put this guy inside there. You could do one of the other little creatures. You know, there's a few of them here you could trim out, like that little guy. He would be so cute. He would be absolutely adorable. But anyway, you can do something like that. And then for the envelope, I would bring out that candy DSP and put it across the flap of the card and maybe stamp him and color him on the front of the envelope. So that's how I would dress it all up. And let's see, do I have an envelope here? I believe I do. Okay. While I've got the ink and the stamp out, I'm not going to waste your time coloring it for you, but I will go ahead and stamp it, and that way it's ready, and then I can color it later. Okay, isn't that beautiful? All right, so I've got him there, and then wherever I put my candy DSP, wherever it is, I lost it. Yeah, oh, there it is. There it is. Oh, I actually put it back in the bag. Interesting. All right. Well, you know what? I have this piece right here. So there it goes. And that is how I would dress up this card, folks. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for being here with me. Let me turn my camera around right quick. All right. Thank you guys so very much for hanging out with me this evening. I hope you enjoyed that Halloween project. I am definitely ready for Halloween time to get here, not just because I love the cooler weather, but because how stinking cute is that? I love it. All right. Anyway, thank you so much again, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. And until next time, my friends, I'll see you later. Bye.